Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for the Financial Coach Master Training informational webinar. My name is Chris Campbell, and I'm the Associate Director of Financial Coaching here at Dave Ramsey. Really excited to be with you. Unfortunately, Bill Lowe is not going to be with me today. He's doing some quarterly planning with the Financial Peace University team, so it'll just be me today, but I am excited to be with you guys and share with you all the important information regarding Financial Coach Master Training online, how it works, and really what we're seeing people do with that as well. Now, this isn't about me just, talking at you guys for the next 30, 45 minutes. I really do want to, answer your questions as well. So I'm going to have a Q&A at the end that will allow you to ask questions that you've heard me talk about, but then even more importantly, behind that, also just kind of maybe give you further insight as well. Also, we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away a seat to this training and enrollment to this training as well at the end. So once we wrap up Q&A, we'll make sure and do that as well. Also, we'll let you know kind of what's going on in the month of September in regards to coaching. So let's start out with, guys, really the why we offer financial coaching. And really, here's what's going on with the state of America. And I'm going to walk you through 2 or 3 slides here, and it can feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was this kind of crazy. It feels like everything's going well. And here's the reasoning why it feels like it's going well. Well, number one, it is going well. Okay. There are a lot of things that are going really well right now with our economy. However, when you look at like Facebook or something like that, really what we get is kind of the highlight reel of people's lives. It appears that everybody's going out to eat. We have more pictures of people's feet than we know what to do with at a beach somewhere, right? The food they're eating, the new car they got, the new vacation they've taken, is things like that. However, if you listen to the Dave Ramsey show, or if you were to set in our offices just for a week or so, you would notice that a lot of that is due to a lack of a plan, a lack of understanding on how to manage your finances. And when we sit down with these folks, you can really see the light bulb go on and show them how they can start affecting their future with their personal finances and how they can really gain some control. So what we see and kind of things that are out of control right now, the first is budgeting. A recent FPU member survey showed that 7 out of 10 couples are not budgeting consistently. Now, if you're not budgeting your money, and Dave always says, hey, listen, you can always try to out-earn dumb, but you really can't. It will catch up to you eventually. And so 7 out of 10 folks that are living paycheck to paycheck that are not budgeting consistently are missing out on massive opportunities. And these are things that our coaches really delve into the weeds on folks with. This is the one thing that if you want to help somebody get the most out of their budget, the most out of their finances, the most out of their world financially, budgeting is really the key to making that happen. This is one of the main areas, again, that our financial coaches work on. Here's another thing. 66% of Americans would struggle to pay for a $1,000 emergency. And guys, you'll see on here, we have one of these 3 is from our team, but most are from external sources. And another recent source that we've seen on Market Watch is that about 45% of Americans couldn't cover a $500 emergency. Now, guys, I drive a Honda Accord. I think they're one of the best made vehicles in the world. But the other day I had a starter go out on that thing, and I was quoted at $1,000 just to fix that. Now, thank goodness my wife and I plan, and we rigorously plan, and we got 2 little ones. We're trying to keep the household together. But we had a little bit of emergency fund so we could cover that. And so if you take a step back from that and you go, man, that was just a starter. Think about a hot water heater. Or it's been pretty hot here in Tennessee. I mean, here we are in first week of September 6th, I believe. Yeah. And, it's still hot here. If your air conditioning goes out, who's going to cover that? And what this shows is that most Americans can't even cover just a standard issue. We're not talking about catastrophic here. We're talking about like a regular $1,000 issue. So again, when coaches are working with people, kind of the why behind that, that's where you're looking at it going, these are the type of things when they sit down with people, they're like, listen, if we can get that $1,000 in the account there, if we can get you guys on a good budget, and 99% of the times, no matter where you live, anywhere in the world, really what you're ultimately dealing with is behavioral finance. Doesn't matter about taxes and investments and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. The behavioral side, and you keep seeing Dave's primary statement up there, personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. It's kind of like getting in shape, right? Eat less, You work out more, you're going to be in shape. If you keep the money that you make and you spend less, you're going to have money. It's not due to the lack of knowledge. It's due to the lack of behavior. That's why these things are in the situation they're in. And oh, by the way, the whole social media, the Joneses don't pull in their neighborhood with a new car, and that's the only way you see it. Now you can see everybody you went to high school with, middle school with, really everybody you should have forgotten, right? They're living the life, so they say, right? So here's the biggie, guys. And this is where things really go off the rails. Because if you're ever wondering, like, I wonder if there's a need out there for financial coaching. And this is a stat also from Career Builder. In 2017, 78% of folks are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, here's the thing you have to know about that. When I started with Dave about 10 years ago, that number was at 70%. And I remember thinking, wow, that felt high. Well, 10 years ago was the Great Recession, as most people call it. Bankruptcies were at an all-time high, foreclosures were at an all-time high, and unemployment was also at an all-time high. It was a pretty drastic time in American culture, especially financially. However, as good as things are now, unemployment's at an all-time low, wages at an all-time high, 401ks all-time high. Everything looks like it's going really well. However, this number has grown by 8%. And that represents, guys, about 30 million people. Now think about that. Every week, 15, 16 million people listen to the Dave Ramsey Show. That number has grown by double the folks that just listen to Dave Ramsey. So if we ever wonder, is there enough work to go around? Is there enough people to work with? Is everybody oversaturated? We can't even keep up, guys. I like to say we're trying to catch a tidal wave with a teacup. 78%, guys, 255 million Americans are in this spot. And if you're living outside of the U.S., these numbers don't get any better. And I'm not trying to give you a downer, okay, here in Nashville, Tennessee this morning, but I am looking at it going, hey, no matter where you live, these stats hold true. Whether you're in a small town or you're in the largest city, it doesn't matter. If you're in Canada or Curacao or United Kingdom, or if you're in Australia, it doesn't matter. 78% is about the norm. So why FCMT online? We kind of look at the problem, and again, most people can say, yeah, I can agree with that problem. That is the problem. So I thought about becoming a financial coach. So why should I take Financial Coach Master Training online? Well, the first thing is leveraging the Ramsey Solutions globally trusted brand. Now, the number one question that I get is that I ask folks, I was say, hey, why do you want to take our coach training? And the first thing that most people say is credibility. I just want to take credibility. And that's why I want to have coaching. That's why I want to take a training, because they're like, I'm already kind of working with people on the side, but I want it to be more than just believe me. I'm Bob from Sheboygan, Michigan. You don't have to do that. So leveraging the Ramsey Solutions globally trusted brand. See, guys, people know Dave. They may not like Dave or they may love Dave, but most people know who he is. It's a prolific publishing organization. We got multiple New York Times best-selling books. One of the primary books that most of you would know is The Total Money Makeover. It's been on the New York Times best-selling list for 15 straight years. As I just mentioned about the radio station, we have 15 to 16 million people every week listening to the Dave Ramsey Show. It's the number 3 radio station in the entire country. He has the number 4 podcast on the planet. In 2017, there was 100 million downloads just to that podcast alone. And then everything that stands for. So when you engage with somebody and you say, I've been trained by Dave Ramsey's team, that lets people know who that stands behind you, basically. Also, guys, we've been doing this training for 25 years in the trenches. Now, what you probably shouldn't hear from that is that we got it all figured out. But we have made a lot of mistakes, and we've done a lot of really great things during that 25 years. Sometimes you learn more from what other people did wrong than what everything they tell you to do right. And so what we want to share with you, both of those things. Here's what we've won with. Here's what we've lost with. Don't do this. That's how you'll bump your head and scrape your knee. But 25 years or a quarter century of doing something, you're going to learn some good things and some bad things. And you're going to learn to tell people, hey, here's what you don't do. Here's what you do as well. And so when you're leveraging that name, you're also leveraging all of that experience as well. Access to our playbooks and our coaching form. So how we ran that coaching practice for 25 years. How many times have we overpromised on sessions? Not that we couldn't deliver, but wow, we had to really work to make that happen, right? Because everybody wants to start out and thinking, I'm going to help and change the world. And then you kind of take a couple step backs and you're like, whoa, I don't know if we can continue this. I don't know if this is scalable. Then the coaching forms. Guys, we used to send out coaching forms that would rival War and Peace. They'd put you to sleep. And people would get them and they would take 2 or 3 weeks to get back. And then it would just take months. And when your hair's on fire financially, the last thing you want to do is become more and more overwhelmed. But most people's natural inclination as you begin coaching is I've got to get all the information. I've got to know every single thing. Well, now our forms are single pages and most people can complete them in a half hour and we can be meeting with them in 24 hours. So you can see how fast and how things have evolved. And some of you might be going, well, duh, Chris, why didn't you do that at the beginning? Listen, everybody who walks through coach training, they always feel like they're underprepared and they just never know enough. And guys, I hear Dave on the radio show almost once a week say, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. So as you're walking into financial coaching, if you ever believe there's a spot where you go, you know what? I'm never going to get to a spot where, I'll never know anything. You're exactly right. That's normal. Most people don't know everything. And the most people who do know everything, well, they forgot what the question is, right? So also support from Dave Ramsey's coaching team. Now, guys, we've had 6 coaches in 25 years. We have 3 on our staff today, and they are the best coaches, in my opinion and Dave's opinion, in America. They work on our team. They coach people every day. They are not talking heads. These are not folks, guys, that just do training and they just, hey, read off this script, do this. We intentionally keep them coaching just to be able to say, I was in a session yesterday, and here's what that looks like. I was in this session 2 years ago. This is what this looks like. They're constantly coaching and they're developing coaches because, again, we never want to have just talking heads. Being a part of a community of like-minded people, that one's a huge one. One of the probably primary issues I've seen with coaches over the years is the isolation factor, or they feel like they're on an island. And one of the things, and I'll tell you more about FCMT Online here in a second, is when you do the online, there's a community a part about that. You have access to our coaches. You're also on calls with other coaches. We do big Q&As with other coaches and our team as well. So you're always in the mix with other coaches that are doing the same things that you're doing. And that's huge for not only your develop now, but also your tenure to stay with the program long term. So for 17 years, guys, we used to have folks fly into Nashville. And Nashville is definitely the jewel of the South. It's a fun place to live and come to, but it's also not inexpensive to come to. And so for 17 years, we've had folks fly into Nashville, do our training for 3 or 4 days. Yes, they used to have to take time off work. Yes, they have to figure out something to do with the kids, get a hotel room, come to the training. But, inspiration is kind of like perspiration. It all kind of dries up. So once people would leave, they'd be like, man, I hope I wrote that down right. We didn't have videos. We didn't have audios to hand out. We didn't have things like that. But it was an amazing time, and we trained a lot of folks that way. But there was friction. So in 2018, Bill Lowe, who's, again, not here with me today, and Dave Ramsey said, let's remove the friction. Let's put the training 100% online. So now people don't have to travel. And I'd love to tell you guys there were people from like Uganda that were like, man, I really want to come to your training, but I just can't get off that week in August, right? No, it was people from like Cincinnati, Ohio. There was a Navy SEAL's wife in San Diego that couldn't come to our training. She had 3 kids. Her husband could be deployed at any time. It just never would work. When we launched the training of 100% online, she was able to come. The guy in Cincinnati, able to come. People in Canada, able to come. People from Australia, UK, Africa, Curacao, Alaska, Hawaii. We've had more people be able to come from around the world this year than ever before because of the training being 100% online. And also, like I just told you a moment ago, if you're thinking, well, I live in a different country, is this going to be applicable with taxes and investments? The thing you have to think about is we're dealing with behavioral finance. That crosses all borders. See, guys, even bankruptcy is different in Tennessee than it is in Texas. So all those little nuances change. We want to teach you how to think, not what to think. And this is where you really get to learn, no matter where you are, whether in Alabama or you're in Alaska, well, what do you know about your state? How does that personally affect you? And that's the key right there. So again, guys, the training is 100% online. There's no travel needed. And, you have full access, meaning that, unlike the folks in the past where they would not get access to the videos and the audios and all that stuff, now you get that access for 1 full year, which we see the average person complete our training in about 30 to 45 days. And guys, that leaves a ton of time to go back and review as many times as you want, do as many calls as you need, do coach chat with us, because now it's 100% online. The last thing I'll say about that is, what is our key measurable? We call it a KPI, key performance indicator, is the confidence of the coach. We've never seen the confidence levels of our coaches be as high as it is today, ever before. And we've been doing this for 18 years. So if you think about it, why is that? Well, they have more ongoing access to the material. We've also laid out the lessons to where you're engaging with coaches more throughout the lessons rather than post the lessons. So again, as you're walking through the training, you have more ability to engage with the content and the coaches because it's 100% online. That always begs the question, hey, so what type of background do I need? If I'm not this financial guru, if I'm not a CPA or a financial advisor, well, how in the world can I talk to people about their personal finances? Well, number one of my favorite things that Chris Hogan says is he says, listen, if you've been through the mess, you have the right to be the messenger. And some of you guys may be going, well, I never messed up with money, and we all applaud you, right? But most of us has. But even the folks who haven't, there's a testimony inside of that. How can you walk someone out of this? So guys, we have teachers, firefighters, pastors, church staff, stay-at-home mom, border patrol, homeland security, professional athletes. Yes, we have real estate agents and CPAs and financial advisors. Those CPAs and financial advisors, they generally add this as a value add to what they're currently doing. Every CPA has done taxes and looked at somebody and they said, I made all that money. Where'd all that go? Financial advisors, they have people by droves walk into their office and go, hey, can you help me with budget or my student loan or these kind of things? And obviously financial advisors, their primary role, and it's a great thing, they do investments and insurance, stuff like that. Real estate agents, of course, they're selling real estate. But I see a lot of real estate agents become coaches and coach other real estate agents. Other real estate agents, we see on average, the average real estate agent goes 3 months a year without a paycheck. Then you kind of work your way all the way up. But as you can see, we have every background. We had Navy SEALs, test fighter pilots for the Navy, any kind of background you can imagine. They basically say, I have a passion to help people with their personal finances, and I want to take a training to learn how to do that, and I want to do it where I am. And that's the key. So what should you take away from this, guys? What type of background do you need? There isn't a blueprint. There isn't a background you have to have. If you have all the other financial designations, that's great on selling products or doing those things. We deal with the day-to-day pain points that plague most of Americans. That's 78% we just talked about. That's the type of thing, guys, that a financial coach does. That's why the background isn't as important, because once you learn the behavioral side of things, that's how you get to really affect someone's current financial situation. So if background's not it, okay, then what is it? What does make a great coach? And if you're taking notes right now, and I am recording this, by the way, so if you're not, no big deal. But what makes a great financial coach? And these 3 things I'm going to share with you, they sound like brochure filler, I promise you, but they're really real, okay? And the first thing you have to have is the heart of a teacher. You have to have the desire to see people win with money. I've talked to so many people who've looked at our training and things like that, and you're like, man, this person really, really wants to serve other people. And sometimes it's because they've been through a lot of mess. When you hear Dave on the radio and he's talking to folks and he starts talking about, the baby's crib being pulled out of the house, losing his house, about to lose his marriage, finances going down, you can like, oh my goodness, you kind of relate with that. You're like, wow, we all love that story of someone who kind of made it through. But what's even more important is that it's more than just him. He's trying to help the next person. And I'm going to shock everybody on here today that Dave Ramsey doesn't have to work anymore. It's a choice. He has the heart of a teacher. He wants to get to the next person that needs help. So that's what makes also a great financial coach. The second thing is that willingness to learn. As I mentioned to you just a moment ago, if you ever think you'll get to the point where you know all the answers, it'll never come. And that should give you more confidence than if I said, you'll get all the answers someday. And the reason is because you'll constantly be learning. I mean, I just told you about 2008, 2009, crazy time financially. When I was talking to people, I was talking to them about they're losing their house or a short sale or, I've lost my job. Today, it's like, hey, we're making pretty good money, but we're out of control with how we're spending it, right? And I'm concerned about our future if we don't get our handles on it. We're not talking about bankruptcies anymore. We're not talking about foreclosures hardly anymore. That's what we're talking about. The verbiage has changed. But even past that, I've had guys in the financial industry that have been around it for 20, 30 years. And unfortunately, I get that question from time to time. Hey, I kind of already know all this. What could you possibly teach me? And we've probably all been asked that question in some sort of fashion. And my hillbilly voice, I'll say probably nothing. You kind of already know it all, right? And so the heart of a teacher and the willingness to learn is key. And of course, the desire to be a part of something greater than yourself. Again, guys, the message of Dave Ramsey, what we do here, one of our pillars of our future, what we call our desired future, is for this to outlive Dave Ramsey's name, for this to outlive Dave Ramsey. Guys, I want people being helped after I'm gone, right? That's the whole point. And so when you know that you're a part of something greater than yourselves, and we all have our own views, like Dave calls them but Daves, right? I love Dave, but the credit card. I love Dave, but the 30-year mortgage. Well, when you're talking to people, what they're looking for is the cracks in the armor of the reason of why they don't need to change. And when you're a part of something greater than yourself, you kind of put aside your little differences and you go, you know what? This is what you need to hear today, not what I want you to hear right now. And so I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've seen people come and they're on webinars like this. We do one of these every so often. And I'll talk with them afterwards. And if they don't have one of these three or two of these three, I'll look at them and say, this probably isn't for you. So if you notice, I'm not talking about your background. I'm not talking about your financial mistakes. I'm not talking about anything like that. This is really what makes and breaks it right here. If you're thinking, should I be or should I not be a financial coach? If you have passion to be a financial coach, this throws gas on it. If you don't have a passion, generally you don't have one of these three for financial coaching. Now you probably do towards something else. And we want you to go find that and do that with everything you got. Dave always jokes and says, listen, we can both be friends and go to heaven. You just can't work here if you don't have these, right? But that's what it looks like. That's what makes a great financial coach. So now I'm going to give you a lesson overview. And guys, I've seen quite a few of you jump in here just a few seconds ago. We are going to do a Q&A at the end. And by the way, how you're going to ask those questions, on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a chat box or a question box. You can type those in. I'll read those verbally, and then, we'll answer those as well. Here's what's funny. A lot of people always think these are not live. So there's always somebody that says, hey, if this is real, say elephant. So that's going to happen at Q&A. So get ready for that. Okay. All right. So here's the lesson overview. The first thing is the foundations. And by the way, guys, everybody wants to talk about launching their coaching practice or business or whatever that may be, but they don't ever want to ask about the foundations. And this is where it starts. This is where the contextual value of what you're going to provide to somebody begins, so you can start learning what to charge or how to do the coaching business. We talk about our coaching process, getting to the root of financial issues. Again, when you're working with somebody, you're dealing with the emotional, psychological, and relational aspect of finances. When I see somebody hand over a chart and I see a blank look on a client's face, well, you just gave them logic. And logic, all it does is make you think. Emotion makes you move. Relational issues. I've seen so many people, it makes so much sense for them to make X, Y, and Z decision. And so they'll immediately go, I'm arguing with Bob or I'm arguing with Cindy and we're not on the same page. It matters not. You have to deal with the emotional, psychological, and relational aspect. We teach you long and short-term coaching models and, of course, coaching different personality styles. Now, we do have you take a personality profile test, but this isn't, the narcissistic side where let's tell you more about you. It's not that at all. It's how do you coach the other folks? I get that question all the time. Hey, what's the difference between this and an FPU? FPU is about you getting out of debt. Coach training is about you coaching someone else. It's a totally different ballgame. So we would be remiss not to talk about the personality styles that you can and will deal with and that you'll work through and talk with and things like that. And if you can't connect with them, they're not going to change. If you can't connect with them, they're not going to move forward. And I know that's what you want to do if you want to be a financial coach. We also get into the crazy stuff, the crisis stuff, which once you really get into it, you start figuring out this isn't crazy. This isn't hard. We just need to get a plan together and start executing. So we talk about the massive student loan issue. Guys, did you know that student loans are the #1 debt in America right now? It surpasses mortgages, credit cards, home, car loans, anything like that. Student loans. Yes, we still talk to you about bankruptcy and foreclosures and dealing with collectors. Those things are still needed. You'd be shocked. The collectors especially. Then we talk to you about the kind of forward-looking stuff, the estate planning, retirement, and insurance. And again, guys, this isn't about you and like, here, go get this. It's about teaching you when you're dealing with someone else, how do you handle that? Those are the key pieces. Once we've done all that, then we start putting the roof on this thing. We talk about launching your coaching practice. Whether you want to do it for ministry or business, and then Dave has one of the best lessons ever on the power of intentionality. But when you're launching, we want to talk to you about true business building activities. One of the number one things I see coaches struggle with is value. And that's why we lead out with that. Like, what am I bringing to the table? If I choose to charge for this, or even if I'm going to do it as a ministry, and if you use the F word free, right? If you say this is free, that's not good. So we spend a whole lesson. It's probably our longest lesson. It's lesson number 12 on launching your coaching practice and the understanding of what you're providing and how that works. And when you're taking that to the marketplace for ministry or business, pricing, marketing, networking, all that stuff, that's in there. That's where we start talking about that. And I can tell you this, guys, you can have a storefront, an LLC, business card, and a website, and you have no paying clients in 3 years, the IRS calls you a hobby. You can have none of that other stuff, have 2 paying clients, and the IRS will say you're a business. Think about that. So we get into those true business building activities. So here's what's included in the training, guys. Financial Coach Master Training is an interactive online experience that will teach you how to coach folks from crisis to retirement. And that includes over 13 hours of engaging coaching videos that are led by Chris Hogan and Dave Ramsey. Now, again, most people complete this training in about 30 to 45 days with 2 to 3 hours of focused work. So any schedule, I told you, a fighter pilot that tests the new fighter jets, a Navy SEAL, and yes, stay-at-home moms, all can complete this training. And I think they're all 3 dangerous. Okay, they're all 3 dangerous people. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, very dangerous lady, right? 13 hours, 2 to 3 hours a week. Most coaches complete it in about 30 to 45 days. Even the busiest schedule can work through that. Here's what makes it different. We do live coaching chats with our coaches on our team. So you can fire it up 24/7. And you're walking through a lesson, you're like, what did they mean right there? You can chat. Lesson 12 was actually done by our coaching team. So you're going, hey, what did you mean when you said that? And even if we're not here in the middle of the night, it'll email us and we'll answer that first thing in the morning. That's huge. Plus, we also supplement that with interactive group coaching calls with our coaches and 5 to 7 other coaches that are going through at the same exact time you are. So now you're breaking down the material you went through, but then also getting that extra insight from the coaches going, hey, now let me tell you some more things you need to start focusing on. There's always a question on the first coaching call that I've always heard. Hey, when can I begin meeting with people? And I love it because I hear the coaches say it all the time. Right now. Do it right now. Because everybody's afraid of that no. Everybody's averse to the no, right? Well, if I coach somebody and what if they say no, like I don't want to meet with you? Normal. It's going to happen. It's okay. You'll live. I promise you. Been told no a lot. Plus those exercises to help you learn, practice, and validate. So what it'll look like is you'll watch a video, take a quiz, do the same thing a couple times, then you'll take a test over that lesson. Then once you complete that, then you'll start doing those calls with our coaches, and you'll keep following that process. But it helps you learn, validate, and apply what you're doing. Plus there's some activities in there to go, hey, go do this, go do this. So you're not just sitting there and consuming information. And guys, this was built mobile first, so you can watch it on your iPhone or your Android, your iPad, your computer, whatever you want to use it on. Anywhere you have internet access, you can take the training. We also do bonus Q&As and group flash webinars. Guys, those bonus Q&As are so much fun. We bring on folks that have completed the training, some folks that have just started the training, and we basically say, hey, we're going to spend the next hour just answering any and all questions, related or unrelated to the program. What can we help you with? And it's some of the best time ever. There's coaches who they basically say, hey, I can't make it, but I'm going to listen to the recording later. And they'll just sign up, boom, we'll send those out. We'll do anywhere between 1 to 3 of those every month. So that's additional time you're getting with the coaches. You're starting to see why now this is quite a bit different. Plus, we also include over $400 worth of bonus material included in this program, such as Financial Peace University Online, which I get that question all the time. Hey, do I have to take FPU or I have to read Dave's book before I join the program? Nope, we give it to you. We also give you a simple will, a disc test. That's that disc test that we want to talk to you about your personality, but then the other coaches, people you're coaching's personality. Every dollar plus, ebooks, and more. That's all built into the program as well. Again, going back to, when people used to come on site, it was 3 or 4 days. They would write down their information. They would leave. Now you have 1 year full access to the entire program. Now, as I mentioned, the average coach out there who signs up for a training right as soon as they get going, they usually complete it in about 30 to 45 days with a few hours of focused work on it per week. I did have one lady about a month ago now who told me she completed it in 2 weeks. I was like, great job. That's really awesome. Now go do it again because you need to do it again. That was really fast, right? So you have all access to the videos, the team chat, the coaching forms, and the bonus material. Those bottom 2 bullet points right there, the coaching forms and bonus material, you actually never lose access to those. So even after the year, we want you to coach people. We're going to be adding more and more bonus material. I think right now we have about 5 hours of bonus material. We're going to be adding at least 3 to 4 more hours of bonus material probably around the first of the year or so. So here's what happens after the training. You do earn a designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. And then you get one of these cool certificates right after the 13th lesson. You can actually go ahead and print that off and hang that with pride. Now, what most people do is they'll utilize this. If you do get a website, if you do get business cards, this is what you put on there. The Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. Okay. That lets the people know, hey, behind me is Dave Ramsey's organization. Again, why do people take the training? It talks about the credibility. Why should they just listen to Chris Campbell? Well, he was trained by Dave Ramsey's group. He's been doing coaching now for a couple of years. Oh, okay. All right. I'll listen to him. Or it's just, I'm just going to work with Chris Campbell. I hope he knows what he's talking about. That's what you earn. These last couple slides, guys, before we get into Q&A are really important. So what do people do after the training? Okay. And these 3 things I'm going to share with you these are the top 3 that I see. The first thing I see folks do is they simply launch a coaching ministry. And this can be a pastor who's already kind of helping people. I talked to one this morning. He coaches people and talks to people in his church. And he's like, I want to get more behind me, right? I want to have more than just what I think I know or what I've been through. I want to get some kind of formalized training to be able to do this. I've also talked to people who work with women's shelters or homeless shelters or other 501c3s, or they're at the church and they work with a benevolence situation. We have churches that run FPU and they say, hey, listen, we just want someone trained that's not even on staff, but we can call and send people to. We have churches that run Momentum. They send people through our training to have that kind of stewardship ministry going. Again, it's just basically you're choosing not to charge for coaching. The second thing we see is people who want to launch coaching as a business. And this is going to be a little bit of a paradigm shift for some of you guys because you're thinking, well, hang on, Chris, you would actually charge a broke person for coaching? Isn't that kind of counterintuitive? And yeah, it sure is. But getting into debt is also counterintuitive, right? So launching a coaching business is one of the biggest things I'm seeing people do now with the training. Most people do it part-time. We have a very small percentage of folks who do it full-time. It takes time to build that, as with any business. So even if you have aspirations to do it full-time, I'm going to tell you, listen, you need to start part-time, grow it organically, work through that, and do things like that. We just did a poll last night for the coaches that we have currently in our program on that Facebook page that I'll tell you about in a second. And the average coach out there right now is charging between $100 and $250 per session. And some of them are doing kind of packages, and some of them just do 1 hour. Now, you may be thinking right there, like, my goodness, again, you're charging broke people for financial situations. Isn't that why they need you? Well, here's the deal, guys. Here's what you have to think about. Because when I used to sell coaching, I thought the same thing. I was like, why would they pay for coaching? I don't get it. Well, then I started doing some research, and I found out that the average cable bill in America is $150 a month. Now, think about this, guys. Don't walk past this. $150 a month. That's $1,800 a year. It's 2018. If you watch TV from 2018 to 2028, you're going to spend $18,000 knowing who won the game, who got voted off the island, and knowing who got the rose. Now think about that. Now, TV has never saved a marriage. It's never reduced stress and anxiety and worry. It's never made work better. It's never prepared for your future, but we'll pay for that. Or last night, our team went out to dinner, And we were in a pretty nice restaurant, and Dave was graciously paying for that. And I looked around, and the restaurant was packed out on a Wednesday night. That's crazy. Started looking at that, and the average family spends $250 a month on going out to eat. Now think about that. You don't have to do that. Now, here's the thing, guys. I haven't talked about making the kids not play baseball, selling your car, selling your house. I just basically said, hey, listen, what if you just did that 100 to 250 that the coaches are charging right now, and you just didn't watch TV? You know, when someone says my marriage is on the rocks, and it's the number one cause of divorce, by the way, my marriage is on the rocks, my finances are out of whack, and I don't have a plan for the future. Okay, well, it'd be $100. Oh man, that's expensive. Hey man, what's your cable bill? $210. Why do you ask? And it's always laughable, right, on this end, but it's a reality check for them. They're like, oh, okay. Well, now they're choosing whether they want to do coaching, and they're removing I can't do coaching. Okay. And that's a key thing. You're empowering them to make a decision right there. And that starts with everything. So that's how people launch a coaching business. And again, that's high level, guys. That's some of the stuff we talk about. But when they launch a coaching practice, that's how they do it. The other thing is creating confidence and competence while helping other folks out. This is just sharpening the saw. Folks that want to do professional and personal development. Here's something interesting, a post survey we've had. 70% of people do a combination of both ministry and business. So if you're like, I don't know which one I'd want to do, you're in the norm. A lot of people do both. So really good stuff there. These post-optional programs, so once someone 100% completes FCMT online, they do have the ability, if they want to join ongoing development with our team, where we do monthly development calls on sales, marketing, launching. We just had an FBI interrogator on last month. We're going to bring on one of those Navy SEALs pretty soon to talk about some stuff as well. And then, of course, we have where you can be listed on DaveRamsey.com. There's a new feature inside of FPU called Ask a Coach, where over 200,000 FPU members now have access to our coaches to ask a question. And where the coach deems appropriate, they can say, hey, let's get a session together. Listing on DaveRamsey.com. Right now, guys, if you're wondering, we have no areas of the entire country that's oversaturated. As of this morning, we have 425 coaches nationwide. I looked it up last night. There are 1.2 million accountants. In LA alone, there's over 104,000 real estate agents. There's over 300,000 financial advisors. I can go on for days. We have 425 coaches listed on our site nationwide. We have no areas that are oversaturated. So if you want ongoing development and to work with our team going past the training after that, you're welcome to. This is what it looks like. So I wanted to let you know. Once you complete the training, we let you know more and more about this. So it's not like, hey, I hope you remember what we talked about back in September, once you're done with it. So I just want to let you know about that as well. Now, listen, before we jump into Q&A, I'm not going to I don't believe in testimonials. Let me just say it that way. Who would put a bad one up on their website or on a webinar like I'm doing right now? So I'm not going to start that trend. But some people like to say, hey, what are other people kind of experiencing? And Al lives up in Bellingham, Washington, right north of Seattle, like kind of northwest of Seattle, and was going to come to one of our last on-site trainings right before we launched the online training. And he said, hey, man, can I flip over to that? I said, sure. And a couple of days later, I get this feedback from him. Hey, this system was awesome. It'd be a bargain. And he had already paid. He was like, my goodness, this was like 3 months after he'd already paid to come to the on-site. John is a bankruptcy attorney in Arizona. If you've listened to Dave over the last month or so, Dave actually read his story. It revolutionized how he does his bankruptcy law practice. Because he's like, I see a lot more opportunities now to help people, where in the past I've just kind of done more of the bankruptcy side of things. So really cool stuff to see these two guys kind of give us some immediate feedback as well on the training. So how do you get started? Well, if you wanted to get started with Financial Coach Master Training, the difference between what we used to do and what we do now, you used to have to sign up for the training and then wait 3 or 4 months and then travel to Nashville. Well, now when you register for the training, you can begin training right now, or you can wait 6 months and then begin then. See, your year begins at the date of activation, not the date of purchase. So if you wanted to enroll, we're going to send you an email later on this afternoon, but you can just go to fcmtonline.com, select purchase now, and then that will allow you to sign up there. The only thing I would tell you, though, is that we've got a really cool promo for the month of September that we're doing. where the price is going to be $17.95. You'll receive an activation code, and then again, you have a full year from that date. Here's another little bonus though. The normal price is $17.95, but if you put in promo code LAUNCH200, it actually takes it down another $200. So it makes it $15.95. Plus, we're going to be doing what we call a 3-month launch mentorship. This is where we're going to do 6 more hours on sales, marketing, and prospecting of coaching. I don't care if you're doing it as a ministry or a business. This is the key to make a successful financial coach. So we're going to rope in Ramsey's marketing team, our coaching team, and our sales team to really pour into these webinars. There's going to be, again, 2 hours in the month of January, February, and March where we're going to gift that to you as well. Now, here's the last thing I'll say about this, guys, for Q&A. We do have limited enrollments for the month of September. Last month, we kind of oversold the amount that we could actually allot. Again, we have 3 coaches that do all this, so there are going to be limited. So this is available through September 30th at midnight or until enrollments are done. Also, in your chat box, I just put a link over there. Launch200 is the promo code that you need to use if you want to join that program. FCMT Online, purchase now. Promo code LAUNCH200 will make that happen for you. Your rate would be $15.95. So Bill's not here, okay? So it's just me. So I'm going to do this Q&A here with you. So give me just 1 second, and let me pull up the questions here for you. So Jason says, I'm still on baby step 2. Would love to do this as a side hustle. Should I be past baby step 2 before I do FCMT? So for you personally, for your personal finances, the answer is yes. I would wait. Pay off your debt first and then come do the training, okay? Then come do the training. Now, does that mean you can't help people? Does that mean you can't lead Financial Peace University? Anything like that? Absolutely not. Does that mean you can't coach people? Absolutely not. You totally can. Dave Ramsey started coaching people fresh out of bankruptcy, fresh out of foreclosure. It's not about that. I'm just saying, hey, pump the brakes, get your debt paid off, and then come take the training. Now, there was this one lady about a month and a half ago now who said, Chris, you told me not to sign up till I got my house paid off. I did not say that, okay? Step 2 is paying off everything but the house. So get past baby step 2, and then come take the training. Love to have you. Sadly, this is from Tiara, I missed most of the webinar. Will I be able to get the information I missed? Yes, we are recording this. We will send out a recording a little bit later on this afternoon. What kind of certification license one need to be a financial coach? There really isn't a certification or license. Theoretically, guys, if you just said, hey, I'm going to go start a financial coaching business, I don't care what Chris said today, you could go do that. You don't even have to take our training. What our training does is give you the bolster of going, hey, listen, here's everything we learned, the structure, how we do it, what we don't do, that community of like-minded people. Because we teach coaches, those first 4 lessons, we teach coaches how to stay in their lane. They're not talking about investments and insurance and taxes and stuff like that. That's not what they do. And by the way, guys, most people are not wandering around life wondering what to do with those things. They don't know how to do budgets. They don't know how to get out of debt. They're trying to figure out how to send their kid to school with a budget that they have, not what Bitcoin's doing. So that's why you don't have to have that. Really good question. Are there any books? This is from Kara. Are there any books or downloads that go with this training? So everything is online. So anything that we do have that's downloads and all that stuff, yes, we have a fantastic resources page. You can download everything. So that's a really good question. But the videos, of course, are not because they end after a year. Really good question. So second question for her is, I've been a financial analyst conducting business financial training for years. I've helped a few folks become debt-free using Dave's principle. Super excited to have a platform, process, and forums, et cetera, to help. Awesome. You got it. Joe says, hey, will you train me? Yeah, the training will. You don't want me training you. I just help make this happen. All right. Let's see here. Question again about getting a recording. Yes, we are going to record this out as well. How do I determine, this is from Alicia, how do I determine what to charge someone for financial coaching? Well, as I mentioned to you guys a little bit earlier, we did a survey just last night with those 425 coaches, and we said, hey, what are y'all charging right now? And the average coach was charging $100 to $250. We have one coach that's charging over $1,000. And we had one coach that wrote itself in. He's like, hey, I'm still doing it free right now. Now, there's one thing I'd tell you guys. Don't fall into the trap of saying, I'm going to do it for free, and then I'll charge a fee. You'll never make that turn. And that's one of the things that I even told that coach, I was like, listen, don't do that. It's not going to win. You have to have contextual value. See, what I always used to do is I'd have to understand what's the problem we're solving when I'm sitting down with Bob and Cindy, hypothetical couple. Yeah, our marriage is on the rocks. Yes, I'm stressed out. We're worried. We're trying to figure out like how in the world we're going to send Timmy to school. He's a junior this year. He wants to go to college. We don't have any retirement. We don't have anything else like that. What is those items worth? What is that worth? I'll just pull one out. What is stress worth? Okay. What is a marriage on the rocks worth? Because that's what you're solving. Because it always starts with a problem, then it goes to solutions, then it goes to results. So that's how you start deriving your price. So we start talking about that. And most of the coaches I saw that took that survey said, I've raised my prices and I've received little to no resistance to that. Because most people, again, when you are able to understand their situation, guys, there's 3 things a coach needs to do. Understand the situation, provide information, and inject hope. Most coaches are so amped up to provide information, they miss the first one. Just understand what's going on. Then your price point makes way more sense. So that's where you start with that, and that's how you start determining what to charge. Danielle says, hey, I'm a stay-at-home mom. What are the best ways to get my advertisement to a coach out to the public? Yeah, I love that question. So here's the thing. Social media is out there. We have a stay-at-home mom that just joined us a month ago. She used Facebook and used Candidly to book appointments and actually had a book now on the Facebook business page. She didn't even start up a website or anything. And she was like, I have all these moms that want to talk to me about Jamberry. I don't even know what that is. Jamberry or the wall art stuff that they were talking about or essential oils. And she was like, you know what? I know these moms are struggling with personal finances. I know, right? She started talking about this stuff, and that's how she got hers out there. You can also network with CPAs, investment professionals, bankruptcy attorneys, divorce attorneys, those type of folks as well. Everybody loves to eat. I would go to Panera Bread on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. They do like a $7.99 baker's dozen with cream cheese. I promise you, no one's going to be like, no, don't bring me food. They'll be cool with it. They want to meet you, learn about their business, learn how you can refer people to them. If I need a tax guy, well, I want to know who this person is if I'm going to refer to them. I don't want to just wonder. I want to go meet them and talk to them. Hey, how do you handle clients? Do you ever get people that ask you about budgeting? Yeah, that's what I do. If I get tax people, can I send those folks to you? Yeah, sure. Boom. There you go. Are there people who strictly focus on budget as a financial coach? Every coach does. Because, that's where it all begins and ends. If you can't do that, everything else is really hard to deal with. Guys, I'm going to take a few more questions here. I want to get that giveaway. And then my contact information is right there. If I don't get to your question because it's just me today, there it is. Email me, call me. I'll fire those out. I got some time this afternoon. I'll make sure and get that to you. Let's see here. If we already bought FPU online, did we get a credit in addition to the launch discount, launch 200 discount? No, but you can gift your FPU online to someone else, including a client, by the way. If you start coaching, you can give them your code and they can take FPU at no cost. Okay. Do you have to sign up directly after you go through classes for the local? Okay. So the question is, if you go through the training, do you have to immediately jump into the post optional programs, what we call the Local Coach Plus programs? Good question. No, you don't. So we have some people that do it right away. We have other folks that wait a couple months and then they jump in later. I had a guy yesterday that I talked to from 2016. It's all good. You can come in. You just have to make sure you've been through the training. Okay. So kind of answer this during the presentation, but it's a good point again. What's the difference between doing Financial Peace University and having a financial coach? It's the equivalent of like doing P90X in your living room and having a personal fitness trainer at the gym. They might work on the same things, but I can be like, hey, Todd, how do I do this? Whereas you can hit pause and try to talk to Dave on the TV, and we're going to call that weird. I think all of us would say that's weird. He ain't going to talk back. I'm joking. But that's the difference. You're getting the access difference. It's a level of detail. Most people who want to work with a financial coach, and I'm not joking, guys, Dave has 3 kids. They'll be like, man, I tried FPU, but I got 2 kids and Dave's got 3 kids. It's just a little bit different at my house. I'm like, right. You have 1 less kid. It's actually better, right? Like not as much to feed. You'll hear the craziest things. That's why people want to work with a coach. Love that question. A couple more. We're going to wrap it up. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So Abby says, hey, 425 coaches that you're talking about, are those the ones who pay $79 a month, or those are all your graduates? Those are just the coaches that are listed on our site for that $79 a month. Not everybody, as I mentioned, I remember I said business, ministry, just sharpen the saw. Not everybody wants to do it as a business. So a lot of those coaches are just, they're doing it through work. They're just helping some folks out. I had Border Patrol and Homeland Security send a crazy amount of folks through just for their offices. That's it. You know, they had no desire to be listed on our site. They're not going to do anything else. They just wanted to work from that angle. Okay. Let's see here. Last one. And then I want to do that giveaway. And again, if I don't get to your question, I apologize. I see some of you guys asking questions. I'm sorry I can't get to it. Do you guys help with business startups? So that's at lesson 12. If you are wanting to do more of a business, most of those folks will jump into the Local Coach Plus program, because then we do more ongoing development. Again, not everybody wants to do that as a business. So lesson 12 really gives you everything you need, and you can really get going from there. But some people want it past that, and they want to keep coaching, and they want to keep with other coaches that are doing what they're doing. So really good question here as well. I said last one, I lied. All right, Michael, I'm going to jump on you. Is there an EO insurance, so that's errors and omissions, product that a coach could buy to protect them if they're doing coaching as a business? We don't carry insurance. You don't have to carry insurance as a coach. Some coaches do choose to do that. You can walk through an insurance agent to talk about that. Again, coaches stay in their lane. It's funny, but if you don't like being out of debt, it's pretty easy to go do it. If you don't like having a paid off mortgage, go get a mortgage. That's what we want to help people do. And to my knowledge, it's not illegal to get out of debt or to help someone get out of debt. And again, we're not talking about investments, insurance, taxes, those kind of things with folks. That's what CPAs are for. That's what financial advisors are for. We're dealing with the types of stuff that handle in the day-to-day stuff. So good questions, guys. You see my contact information right there. It's Thursday. I've got just a little bit of stuff going on this afternoon. So if you shoot me an email or give me a phone call, I'll most likely get back with you. Worst case, I'll get back with you first thing in the morning. We had over, I think, 2,800 people jump onto this webinar. So we had a lot of folks be on here as well. So anyway, guys, the person who won the free seat to Financial Coach Master Training Online for 1 year is Zach W. Zach W. You are the winner of Financial Coach Master Training Online. All you need to do is shoot me an email right there to my email, and to give you the code that you need to the best email you have. So if you'll do that, we'll get you everything you need to get set up tonight. So guys, thank you all for taking some time out of your day to come learn about Financial Coach Master Training. Again, if you have questions, there's my contact information. Listen, if this is a passion of yours, I'm going to encourage you to take action. Whether you are still in debt, I'm going to go lead FPU. Go start working with people. If you're ready to get started, get started. If today kind of like turns you off a little bit, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I like charging people, but I want to make money. You ever heard of that contradiction? I really want to make some money at this, but I don't want to charge people. There you go, right? Well, how do we overcome that? If this isn't your passion, go find out what that is and go do that with everything you got. If this is, we'd love to have you join us, because financial coaching is awesome and rewarding. Thanks so much, and y'all have a great day.